God bless you, Apostle Flowers.
And Pastor Ruth Flowers.
As you might have noticed, there was no music.
No
Usually
music.
have a music on the intro. I haven't been able to download. Still working on a new computer I got. I've got to find free music. For some reason, Facebook has been hitting me about music and shared revenue. So from the free music I used to have a while back, I can't seem to find it. So, but I'll keep working until I find the intro music to when we come on. How you doing, Sister Veronica? So I'm working on that, but kind of gets you off guard because you usually wait for the music to get to its end as it begins to smooth out, but it didn't. So we're gonna get there. How you doing, Sister Bailey?
Yes.
Good to see you. But we either way, we're here tonight. And listen, we're starting on a subject. And Pastor Flowers, one of the thoughts that came through my mind, and I want my prayer is that your church changes this mentality, and that society in the whole changes this mentality, and that is that we don't wait until everything is falling apart.
Yes.
Before we do something about what's trying to break us apart.
Like our cars.
Yes. And that we'll take more seriously about what each wants from that relationship. One of the worst things that can happen is that somebody is so satisfied with themselves in a relationship that they have no regard or no conscience of how the other person is feeling.
And because they feel okay, they feel like if you have a problem, what's the problem?
Right.
I don't see anything.
Wow. Yes.
Why do you have a problem?
Right. And the reason why they have a problem is because sometimes one or the other is just not considerate of what's going on in the relationship. And I think Pastor Flowers as a whole, and if I can say this, and if someone can prove it wrong, then I just don't think. And the reason why I can say this with confidence is when you have a people that know better make the same mistakes as those that don't know better, then you have to say the same disregard that those who don't know better is the same disregard that those who know better have.
Yes.
And when you have the same rate of divorce and wrecked marriages in the church that you have in society, something is wrong there.
Something's wrong.
We're not taking this serious. And it starts from not just when you say I do, it starts from when we start to get serious about wanting to get married and we want someone to find us, so we want to find someone. Yes. And one of the things that I've said this, and sometimes my daughter asked me, said, Dad, how come y'all don't have many things for singles? Because I have found in me, and I think singles want stuff that's exciting, want stuff that's that gets their attention and gets them joyful instead of let's put some order in that joy. Let's put some joy in the happiness. So when we get into something, we'll know what we're in, and we're not trying to guess at something, but we know what we're in. It has some discipline, it has some order, and it has some responsibility to all of us. And so I found that when we put together programs and try to get singles to come in and say, let's get ready for marriage, they just want to get ready for the process of relationship or dating.
Yeah.
They want to make sure that they have the right man, and not knowing that you may pick the man that feels right to you, or you may pick the woman that may feel right to you, but it may not be the one that God picked for you. They may hit 9 out of the 10 things that you're asking for.
Yeah. But the main big thing.
Thank you, hon. And that's what these kind of teachings are about is, listen, whether we're not perfect, but if we follow God's leading, our choices will always be perfect.
Amen.
What we walk into will always be perfect. And so thank you all for joining us. Appreciate you.
Xavier and Jamar.
Yes. So we want things in our life to fit God's plan.
Yes.
Not us try to mold it to where it's comfortable to us.
Brother Wise.
And so, okay, Brother Wise, how you doing? Yes. So many times, Pastor Flowers, we work so hard to find something that makes us feel comfortable, and we never ask to ourselves, is it comfortable to God's plan in my life?
Oh, yes.
Because that's the most important thing, y'all. Because what we find out most times, what frustrates us is that we choose by how we feel, and hope that our feelings are in line with what God feels. And then after a while, we realize this was not God's choice, but God doesn't force us to do anything.
That's right.
When God was
shotgun weddings.
Yes, no. When God was trying to set Israel up for a blessing, the first thing Israel did was look over the other side of the fence and see what the other nation was doing, and they realized that those other nations had a king.
Yes.
And they could see who was leading them.
Yes.
Well, God, you had to have faith and you had to see him through faith. They said, no, we want somebody we can see and that we can have an equal argument with. I'm just paraphrasing, identifying what happened. And the Lord said, Lord, try to get them to understand this. I'm your king. You know, I can work out everything that's necessary for you to have a good and wholesome life from head to toe. And they said, no, we want a king. And God stepped back and said, oh, you can have a king. So it's the same incident. You may see, yes, you may see a woman or a man that may fit all the whistles from your eyesight, all the whistles from your emotions, all the whistles from your feelings. But if they're not, if they're not part of God's plan in your life, then they're going to miss everything else in your life. Mm-hmm. So that's what this is about. And some of us may not want to be as serious as sometimes some teachings about relationship sometimes hands to us. You have to be serious because this is your life.
Yes, it is.
This is, hey, Tony, this is your life. This is when you invite someone in, they're going to ask for space in your life. And they may ask for space in your life and stuff that if you haven't prepared yourself right, you won't have room for them. Mm-mm. You won't have room for them. At least you won't have a healthy room. So these things are serious. And God has been dealing with me about, let's talk some more about relationships, because summertime, summertime, Valentine's Day, holidays, people want to find somebody that they can breathe in the face of. Yeah. Sad to say that sometimes that's all you get.
Companionship or whatever.
Yes. So let's do this right. Mm-hmm. So you won't be when you go to the altar, you'll be praying about God's design for your all's life and asking God to lead you for his design and purpose in your life. And you won't always be 99% of the time trying to pray for God to heal a marriage that you didn't ask him about before you got married.
Or to develop him or her into the person that you desired to be, or that you heard supposed to be, that you're married to.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And so, well, Pastor, I believe God put us together. And that's another thing. God may have put you together, but did you find the plan of him putting together?
Yeah.
And let me tell you a story. Pastor Flowers used to do this. We used to buy desks.
Yes, we did.
We used to buy desks. And, I looked at the picture. I really didn't want
it. But didn't read the instructions.
No, that was too much. That was too much. When you can look at it and stuff, you can say, look, you can have eye measure. You can look at it and say, this is how it's supposed to go. That's how that's supposed to go. You thought through common knowledge, just through observation, I could put that desk together. Well, several times after we got finished putting desks together, there was a lot of parts being left.
Yes, it was.
And I just thought, well, they just sent extra parts just in case something messed up.
And 2 or 3 months down the road, my desk was leaning.
She was sitting there on the desk that's leaning.
No, you had to keep your leg over this side to keep the desk keep the desk up so you can sit there.
Right. All because we were trying to put this together with eye service. Can I tell you something? What you may have gone through, what you may have seen, what you may have read, doesn't always equal wisdom.
That's right.
It doesn't. I put several desks together. I saw the book. I saw what it should look like. But just because you see what it looks like, if you don't go through the intricate details to put it together, you may have parts left over that desk needs to stand up.
And I guess in relationship, you'll say, make sure you read the fine print.
Absolutely.
Because there's a lot of information in the fine print that if we don't know, we're going to end up messing up.
Absolutely. And some of it is, Pastor Flowers, don't just underestimate what you see in that person as that relationship develops.
Yes.
Good or bad. Don't underestimate that.
Or overestimate.
Thank you. Or overestimate. Absolutely. Take in details. Yes. Discuss some things. Yes. There's nothing wrong with conversation. If conversation makes that relationship void, if that person doesn't want to discuss anything that you need to be answered and stuff, you need to run away from that relationship. Yes.
That's the problem.
Yes.
Because if they don't want to discuss it, then obviously they want to hide something.
Ooh, say that again.
And people don't want to, well, it's not that I'm hiding anything. Okay. I like what Mark Cuban said. Mm-hmm. He said, if you have nothing to hide nothing.
Absolutely. And that's the thing.
Simple as that.
That's the thing about any relationship.
If you have nothing to hide nothing.
Absolutely. There are singles.
Open book.
There are singles out here. Y'all get going. That's all right. No problem. Yeah. There are singles out here. Mm-hmm. And every time I say this, I know people say, I rebuke that. Well, you can rebuke it all you want. But here's the reality is there are some singles out there that have so much to hide that God is not going to send them anybody.
I know.
They won't be honest about issues. No. They won't be honest about fears. They won't be honest about. There are people out there that like to play the lack of trust game when it's beneficial for them to be in rebellion or for them not to submit to the help that they need. So and you can see about if there's a lack of trust, you're not even going to trust to get yourself in trouble.
Yeah.
But if you find yourself always in a lot of trouble, being struggling with some things that you made a choice to get into, you don't have a lack of trust. You just have a selective area where you're going to be obedient and submissive to get the help that you need. And as people who want healthy relationships, we have to make the kind of choices that we can live with and that the person in our life wants to live with.
Yes.
Wants to live with. And so it starts with a conversation. It starts with talking. It starts with being vulnerable. And too many of us are not willing to be as open as we need to be to have good, healthy, strong relationships, not just at the marital level, but at many levels of our life, that we're just not open. We're not smooth enough, so to speak. We won't be vulnerable enough to have those kind of relationships where people can trust what you say and that the actions that you have is real. Amen. Okay, honey.
Okay. Serious couples need to be able to talk about anything that builds or hinders intimacy.
Now, before you do it, because Pastor's going to read some things, we're going to discuss this as you read. But the question, if you're married or if you're single and you're developing a relationship, ask yourself this question. How many conversations did you have to cut short because the person that you were in a relationship with or was trying to discuss something with, they didn't want to talk about it anymore? Or every time you try to discuss it, they had a big argument. Thank you. Brought a big argument. Or when you brought it up, they started, how you call it? They started when the rest things that your mind make you think it's your fault.
Oh, gaslighting.
They start gaslighting.
Oh, Lord.
You bringing up something that
flip around on you.
Yes. Or why you always bringing up stuff that always cause trouble? Why should a question that you need to take responsibility for?
Yeah.
And that gives answers to give the marital relationship or the relationship developing more clarity and a greater foundation. Why should you have a problem discussing that?
No.
Why?
Shouldn't be.
And can I be honest with you? And let me say this, throw this back at singles. And it's one of the reasons I think sometimes singles don't like to discuss things or come to these kind of teachings, because it makes us responsible for us going in. Not you. Don't go get somebody that's going to make you better. If you're not better on your own, if you can't bring anything good on your own, then you're going to be a problem in that relationship. And the question or the thing I need to throw at us or just hand to us as those who are single is this. If you have a hard time discussing things with yourself, it's going to be even more difficult with somebody who's going to have a different opinion than you. If you struggle with your own self, if you have a problem when you have to discuss things with you that you have to later bring to God and then God give you an answer for it. If you run from your own discussions, if you run from your own challenges about changes and about choices that you make, if you run from those, if you're embarrassed about the conversation that you even have, that you must have with yourself, you're going to be a problem in a relationship. Especially because that person that you're in a relationship with may not have the same opinions or may not have the same point of view that you have. So when we understand that, we prepare ourselves to understand.
How can you measure when there's somebody that you're interested in or that they're interested in you, or, you all getting together and you find out that you have difference of opinion about things? Should you continue to move forward, or should you stop and say, okay, let's talk about the differences of opinion that we have, whether it's religious or whatever? Let's talk about the difference of opinion that you have, whether you are, well, I can't name off all the religions, but, I'm not going to.
Right.
How do you make that call? Should you continue letting your heart move forward without resolving this thing, especially something as big as where we're going to worship?
Only the thing that really is not movable for Christian, for one that goes by the Bible that was first instituted in the King James Version. Only thing that's not movable by them is that when you go into marrying somebody from a different religion, is how much of an impact is that going to have on you being able to serve the God that you know. And then we have to also realize that when you do make those kind of choices, the Bible is very clear about not being unequally yoked.
Yes.
So there is an unequal yoke there.
There is.
And so you have to make a choice. What is greater for you? That you be yoked in the way God says, or connected in the way God says, or you go by your feelings. Second, we're always going to have different opinions. We come from two different backgrounds. No matter if we could be raised in the same neighborhood, be next door neighbors. There are cultural differences just based on the fact that we have two different parents. We have two different sets of people, and you can still connected by friendship or whatever. But the culture raised, the atmosphere that you were raised in makes you different. And you may see things differently. Mm-hmm. But the thing that makes those things work when you have a different opinion or you may have a different viewpoint of something is that you're able to discuss it. And then you're able to discuss it, and then you remove those things that are not necessary and that is detrimental and that is dangerous and that's hurting to the other person. Now, here's another thing that's not negotiable. We can take points of view in the scripture. As Christians, we can take points of view in the scriptures. But make sure when you take a point of view in the scripture and you identify as that the way you want your relationship to submit to, that's pure biblical. It's not feelings. It's not opinions. It's not thoughts. Mm-hmm. It's not just because your pastor said it. Mm-hmm. It's not just because your uncle, your aunt, your daddy said it, or whatever said it. It's because it's proven in the Bible, mm-hmm. and the Holy Spirit can confirm it and stuff in your heart and mind, and you're open for Him to confirm it and stuff, or you're open for Him to reprove it. But there are things we're going to have as human beings, Pastor Flowers. I believe we will never come in thinking the same thing. We're going to have different opinions. Mm-hmm. And we're going to have different viewpoints of things. And what makes a relationship strong is that we don't take those different viewpoints and beat the other one down until they start to think and feel like we do. Yeah. And that's controlling. Yeah. That's controlling. Nobody should feel such freedom in a relationship that they own you enough to be able to try to change your mind about something and stuff by beating you down about your opinion, about your feeling, about your viewpoint and stuff. We can have different viewpoints. And they don't have to be contradictory. I mean, they don't have to be destructive to the relationship. Yeah. We just need to understand that's how you see it. Let's seek God. Let's study the Word. Mm-hmm. Let's get some understanding and see what we need to do with these different viewpoints. Mm-hmm. And we go from there. If we do that, we can have a healthy, productive relationship.
Absolutely.
And stuff. So a good question. Yes, sir. Okay. Oh, I thought you were saying, all right.
As couples in a relationship, whether in marriage or in the beginning or whether in marriage or in the beginning or middle of a developing relationship, we must always be able and willing to talk about anything to each other.
Woo. Anything.
Because if you can't talk about anything, somebody's going to end up suffering in silence. And they're going to want to go on with the relationship.
Absolutely.
On those bases.
Absolutely.
If that foundation is built where only one person can talk, or only one person can have a conversation, or only one person can end the conversation before you have put everything out there, you're going to have a problem.
Yes.
Because that's what your house is being built on.
Wow.
Your house called marriage is being built on a foundation that's not fair.
Absolutely.
A foundation that's going to crumble.
Absolutely. We as couples need to be able to and willing to talk about anything that the other brings up. It doesn't always have to. I don't always have to start the conversation. My wife may have saw something that I wasn't paying attention to, and she wants to bring it up because it affects both of us. I may have done something and stuff and didn't consider the weight of what I've done. I talked about this example on last week. Matter of fact, I think it was the thing about when we were moving our refrigerator, and I moved the refrigerator, and her hand was back there. I didn't see her hand. It was purely off of accident. It was not anything. It was not in anything of consideration, which means I saw it, I noticed it, I knew it was there, but I was pushing and stuff. And listen to this. And this may sound innocent. I was pushing, hoping that she would move her hand by the time I got the refrigerator back there. No, if I noticed her hand was in the wrong position, this is the thing about healthy relationships. If we notice one or the other is in a wrong position or bad position and can be hurt by it, then what we do is we don't just keep pushing. We discuss it.
Yes.
If I saw her, noticed her hand back there and stuff, I would have said, "You need to move your hand. Mm-hmm. I'm going to push your refrigerator," because I noticed I know what can happen because I'm observant. I would have been observant, but we can't just assume something and then something bad happens out of it and think we don't need to take responsibility. So here's what I pushed the refrigerator back there. She yelled and stuff because I pushed it, and the refrigerator wasn't one of them little small refrigerator. Wasn't the size of my tablet. It was one of them big 2-door, 3-door refrigerator and stuff. And she looked at it, and I didn't say anything. I said, "Oh," and that's it and stuff. And my reaction to when I'm around somebody and I do something that I think may not be acceptable, or maybe I accident, my first response is, "Excuse me," or "I'm sorry." She was wondering, okay, if this was the lead way, or this the freedom, or this is the way you acted towards other people, why? And she wasn't being nasty. So I know, because I remember, sometimes, especially preachers, they can sometimes assume that wives can't ask their husband something that maybe they'll deal with something they did wrong.
Just deal with it.
I want to be a husband.
Mhm.
I don't want to be a lord. I want to be a husband. And as a husband, I got to be subject, and I want to be subject to whatever may concern her. If I'm just a subject to the church, which is this, when I preach a message, what do I do after the service? I mean, after the message is over.
Mm-hmm.
No, what I do after I get finished with the message, what I do?
You pray.
She did what Mary Sunday, y'all. I asked y'all.
Oh. Is there any questions? Do you understand everything? Anybody have anything to say? How the message resonate with you? And make sure we get it.
Thank you.
Just to make sure we
Absolutely.
get it. And there's no misunderstanding, because everybody's important.
Absolutely.
Your opinion is important, you know.
The natural phase is I'm going to be responsible for what I said.
Yeah.
I want to be accountable and responsible for what I said. So all this in detail, this gets in her mind. She wonders, she sees this. So why is it that you can, whether you intended to or not, why didn't you even at least give me the same consideration that you give to other people when you make a mistake? That's not as detrimental.
Mm-hmm.
And at first I thought about it, and I wanted to defend myself. And I said this when I was talking about it before, but you know me.
Mm-hmm.
Your spouse knowing you does not replace the responsibility for what you've done to be given to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think that at first, because I even use, hey, sometimes husbands, I don't know if any other, you get intelligent, not smart, like nasty smart, like, you start to make the excuses or making the statements. Well, I thought you knew me. I thought you knew I would not do anything to hurt you and stuff, or that I'm causing any harm to you. That has listen, and you know what? Those are legitimate assumptions.
Mm-hmm.
Those are legitimate assumptions. But those are legitimate assumptions when you're dealing with a relationship and you're dealing with each other's heart. Not an excuse, but you still need to do. And she needed to understand not whether I meant it or not, but was I as concerned about what happened by saying, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean whatever words that equal to I'm sorry," as I would if it was somebody else.
You know, also with that type of behavior, it leads the other person to, the feeling of being devalued, because the first thing that the other person, okay, we're gonna say Johnny stepped on Mary's toe,
Mm-hmm.
his wife named Mary's toe, and he just kept on walking. But he goes a little bit further, he steps on Johnny's toe. Oh, excuse me, I'm so sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Steps on Jack's toe. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Steps on Martha's toe. Oh, excuse me, I'm so sorry. So that's going to leave Mary thinking, well, why wasn't I, important enough
Mm-hmm.
for him to say, I'm sorry for stepping on my toe? I say I'm sorry when I'm stepping on his toe, but he stepped on my toe and he doesn't say he's sorry because I know him.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So it brings about a situation of value. Can you treat me as well as you treat others when you're out there in public, or you do something on accident? Can you treat me that well? Can you take into consideration my feelings like you take into consideration their feelings? Can you take into consideration just the common courtesy? Mm-hmm. I'm sorry.
Now, I got to divide 3 sections with that because it was good. Sometimes when we're dealing with people in the public and you see people, like I've done, mm-hmm. apologize when it looks like it was a mistake, it wasn't really a mistake, but you just apologize. Nope. And nothing to do with us just apologize, no apologize. I'm saying sometimes, Pastor Flowers, it has nothing to do with consideration. Mm-hmm. It has all to do with us trying to save our reputation, make sure somebody doesn't think bad of us. Mm-hmm. It had nothing to do with, I'm not considering you. It's not, I'm considering you.
You're talking about outside the home.
Outside the home, it's consideration. Mm-hmm. I'm not considering you. It's reputation. I don't want you to think that I'm the kind of person who don't care about stepping on your feet. Excuse me. And it has no connection to it. And it's not always, but sometimes when people become automatic in their apologies or in their excuse me, sometimes it doesn't have anything to do with anything that comes from here. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it has something to do with, I don't want you to see me in another light that I'm trying to present myself. And the only difference is that where it should be different is mm-hmm. it's not about the light when you're dealing with each other. It's about the relationship. Yeah. And when you deal with about the relationship, everything responds in a way to reassure them that I'm cognitive of what may have happened to you, whether I meant it or not, that I'm sorry and stuff, and I did not mean for it to happen. Doesn't mean you're not saying I'm guilty. I'm not saying I'm guilty. I'm saying that I'm taking consideration that you got hurt. Mm-hmm. Had nothing to do with what I meant to do. Has all to do with what happened to her. Yeah. And when we understand it as couples, y'all, we will take responsibility even when it feels like we haven't done anything wrong. Did we get that? So many times, Pastor Flowers, we take the time to always try to defend us when sometimes it's not about what you're defending, but who you are embracing. I hope that makes sense. When we
go ahead.
No, baby, go ahead.
And that also includes the way we talk to one another. We can be goody two shoes and our words. I'm not goody two. Our words is laced with butter and sugar and everything when we're talking to others.
Absolutely.
But when we're talking to each other, in a relationship, you're talking to each other can be short, snappy, barking. Well, you just get on my nerves, and just say anything and think it doesn't devalue the relationship, doesn't devalue those in the relationship. You're not supposed to have no feelings about how I talk to you. You're not supposed to have no feelings because how I treat you, because you know me.
Wow. And
I know you, and I trusted you to be a good steward of my emotions.
That's right. And you know what? I'll give you go down that line. You said it better. Just the fact is, yes, you do know me. And because I know you, or because you know me, I expect what I know about you to always be present. Always be present.
Yes.
I know, based on what we've talked about, what we've displayed in the past, that you love me, and you're always considerate of my feelings. When you come out of that behavior, when you step out of that path and stuff, there's no automatic, let me retort back to what they told me, when they're not living what they told me anymore.
It's true.
And I say to the singles, one of the things I would encourage us to do, as well as married couples, is think about your attitude.
Yeah. As
you begin to interact with each other, when things seem to be not going your way.
Even the tone of voice.
Absolutely. The very tone of your voice. Because some of you, I say this all the time. I wonder to myself, why are Christians so mad? Yeah. Why are they so mad? Because some of them I see how they look, you see how they act, and some people say, why are you so mad? And how can we, as Christians, and we can't do it as couples either, we can't turn it off and turn it on.
Yeah.
If it's real and genuine, it's consistent. It's consistent. We don't pretend to be in love in church and not in love at home. Yeah. Because somewhere in between home and church, somebody gonna catch you somewhere doing something that proves you were fake when you were in church. So y'all, all I'm saying is, singles, if you want to be found, if you don't want a relationship, you don't have to be mean to show you don't want nobody.
That's true.
Did I say it right?
You said it right.
Amen. Some get upset when they think that somebody's trying to convince them that they have to get married. And if you don't want to get married, don't get married. But don't make everybody else sad or frustrated or uneasy around you because you don't want to get married. Because you need to be peaceable with your own atmosphere, right. Especially if you want God in it. Amen. And if you do want to get married, be consistent with your attitude. And most important is I'm gonna say this real low so you hear me. Singles, see, God know when you're being lazy. God know when you ain't doing things out of your own heart. God knows when can I use something hypothetically? And this is the main place right here. Singles, God knows when we have Bible study online, when you click online and leave. Yeah. God knows it. He knows it. Now you want God to send somebody in your life to be faithful. And what you said? You're already been deceptive. And you want God to reward you like you're not being deceptive. Be consistent in the things that you do, whether somebody else sees you or not, because God always does. And husbands and wives, be always consistent with what God requires of you towards each other, and stuff, whether you're in front of people or not. Or whether you're in front of each other or not. Okay. I'm sorry. Listen, we're monitoring this. Pastor Flowers can see it on the phone. If you have any questions, please put them up there. Yes. And we will certainly engage with you, because I believe, Pastor believes, and I've been talking to this, and the Lord has been talking to my heart about the seriousness of dealing with relationships, because I think one of the key things, Pastor Flowers, in this season, that's going to cause many people to miss their level, is that their home is messed up, or their preparation for home is messed up. Yeah. And no matter what God is trying to say to them, we're not correcting the things that we need to get corrected. Yes. And stuff. I pray that every marriage, that every person get married, that God, especially God, puts together, have a successful marriage. But you can't have a successful marriage if you don't have a successful relationship with the orders that God gives about marriage. Amen. And you can't force a person to do what they promise. But you don't need to force yourself to try to force yourself to force them to do what they promise. Does that make sense? That makes sense. Okay, here we go. We must be willing to take active responsibility for the problem or problems that we brought or are bringing into the relationship and to each other in the relationship. Got to be responsible. If you knew coming in a relationship that you had a problem with your temper,
Yes.
if you knew that you had a short fuse, that if somebody looked like they were doing something, you was ready to cut them off. If you knew that you had that problem, and so now, and you're married, now it's too late to say, wait a minute, let's not get married. But it's not too late for you to deal with it.
Deal with it.
It's not too late for you to say, look, I need to go get some deliverance. I need to go get some prayer. I need to go get some whatever to get your help.
And it's not just a temper.
Nope.
It can be poor spending habits.
Absolutely.
It can be whatever area that you bring baggage into the relationship.
Absolutely.
It could be a lot of drama that you bring in the relationship, but you have to handle it.
Could be less. Could be this too, Pastor Flowers. It could be cleaning habits.
Yeah.
If you know you're a hoarder, I said hoarder. If you know you're a hoarder, if you know everything you bring in your house, whether useful or not, you're gonna keep it there. And after a while, you have to start climbing over stuff and stuff. If you want somebody that has a life that that they want to declutter and they don't want to be caught up with a whole lot of mess, clean your stuff up.
Yeah.
Clean your stuff up.
Yeah.
It's plain and simple. Let's not find ourselves in a place or position where we're not eligible to receive somebody that God wants to bring into our life to help us get to a place that's better than where we're at. Deal with it. If you got some issues that will offend your marital relationship, that will offend the person that's in your life and stuff, come on. If you have any kind of struggle, I don't care what the struggle's at.
There's some open doors that you know you need to close and seal off because they tend to open and close and open and close. Deal with them.
Absolutely.
Seal them off. Don't bring that to somebody else.
Absolutely.
Because that is hurtful.
Absolutely. And let me say this, and I see this and not in condemnation. If you don't hear this in the spirit that I'm saying this in, it's because you're too defensive and you want to hide it. If you know you're having issues with your flesh, if you're struggling in any way with your flesh, and you know it's giving you a hard time, get the help you need instead of trying to go into a marital relationship and cover it with legal stuff. Because it's going, after a while, it's going to come out and it's going to offend that marital relationship. It's not, I'm not condemnation. If you know you have issues and struggles in places, if you know, or else, if you know, I know we have a question, baby, I just want to finish it. If you know that things have happened in your life that cause triggers to go off at certain seasons and times in your life, whether it's emotional, mental, physical, spiritual and stuff, get some help with that. Don't go into the relationship and expect that marital relationship or relationship, that marriage or that relationship to distract you away from those things that keep ringing off inside of you. Get the help that you need so that you can live peaceably with yourself and with the person that's in a relationship with you.
The person that you're in a relationship with.
Yes, son.
Okay, the question is, I have a question. Why in relationship do individuals rather have the good, nice conversations instead of the conversations that may hurt or not be so good, but could benefit to a major change in the relationship?
Whether we want to believe it or not, Pastor Flowers, there are some people that like to close their eyes to things that are not right with them because they don't want to hear it over again. And here's 2 or 3 reasons. One, you may end up marrying a person that all they heard all their life is all the things that they've done wrong. Or you may have married a person in a relationship with a person and stuff that has been abused in some way. That things have just happened to them, and all they wanted to do is move away from those abusive situations and live in a la la land. If you could turn their minds inside out, you would see a world inside their minds that lives outside of the conflict, the troubles, the struggles that they have, and they're living a perfect world, and they want everybody to see them at that and stuff, even from their verbal presentation. Or you may be married to someone who just has a spirit of control. And when you marry someone or in a relationship with someone that has a spirit of control, they don't want you to tell them what they're wrong. They will tell you when they're ready to deal with what they're wrong, but they don't want you to tell it and stuff. So until these areas, and could be more, until these areas are dealt with people who are in marriages or in relationships who keep having problems but don't want to talk about them, until they're ready to take responsibility for what birthed those things in them and why they keep doing them and stuff, you can never have a real conversation with them that comes to any kind of solution and brings health to the relationship.
And another true fact is some people only want to have the conversations that they can control and direct.
That's it.
As far as relationship is concerned, we'll talk, but you'll notice that one person is controlling and directing the conversation and how long it happens, how deep it go, and how deep it might not go, and in that particular area, you're suffering in silence.
Absolutely.
Because you can't bring your points to the table.
Absolutely, absolutely. And one more, Pastor.
Pastor Neil's wife.
How you doing?
Yeah.
One
Vanessa, yes.
okay. God bless you. One more issue.
Yes.
And this is a hard one, Pastor Flowers,
Yeah.
because sometimes the reason why one spouse may not want to talk about the difficulties or want to go into it is because that's the monster you built.
Wow.
And sometimes we can get in a relationship and we can be so caught up and fearful of losing that person that we will let things go by. We will tolerate some behaviors. We will tolerate some things that they said and done. Because in all actuality, let's qualify reality. You may really be in love with that person. You may really love them. You may really care about them. And so you let some things slip by. They may say some things or do some things and stuff, and you may begin to try to discuss them. And they may either come say, I don't want to hear it. I want to talk about it, this and this. If I did something, I'm sorry. But they have no they have no reality in it. We can allow, not you, but we can allow monsters to be built by allowing our spouses or people that we're in a developing relationship with to get away with things that need to be discussed and stopped.
And that's what I was going to say. Let's say you're in a relationship with somebody, you all are having a conversation because of some issues that came up, and you begin to talk with them concerning issues. Then all of a sudden you hit a roadblock, and they tell you you're going too deep. How do you handle that when you need to go that deep because there's something that's deeper that could possibly affect the relationship and you?
We always need to qualify our conversation. And what I mean is this, and you may not always have to say these words, but it's good sometimes to say these words. What do you mean qualify? If you and I are having a discussion and we're having this deep discussion and it may look like one of us going to say, I don't want to go that far, it's going too deep. I need to ask you who you talking to. Now, I don't mean that defensive. We talked about this before. Who are you talking to? Because I want to know that you know you're talking to your husband. She wants to understand if I know I'm talking to a wife. Why is that important? Because in covenant relationships, you don't just brush things aside.
No.
I can give you a timeout. Now listen to me. Yeah. I can give you a timeout, but I can't brush that aside.
No.
So I need to first
be dealt with.
Yes. I need to understand that this is a covenant relationship that these problems are involved in. If I know that, then I need to understand, what do you mean by I'm going too deep? If you tell me, if I tell her, well, I'm really not ready to talk about that right now. Okay, I can understand that. But here's the key word. You said right now. So, and I'm gonna hang on that word right now, because right now may mean, okay, you may not be able to talk about it, and I can understand that. There are some things that may have happened to some people that they bring to marriage that you didn't know about until you got married. That may be the problem why they can't discuss some things or why they can't go in deep into some things. Okay, we can understand that. Wasn't fair, but we understand that. But here's things that balance it out and makes it fair. Okay, you may not want to talk about it now. This may be the first time we went in this area, or maybe the second time. But we can't go into the third time and not finish it. We need to be honest with each other. We don't need to just argue. We need to discuss some things. If there is something that's holding me up from getting close to you, I need to know what it is. And you may not be at that first time we talk about it, slowing down. You may not be ready the first time it comes up to talk about it. But here's the thing you need to understand, because we can't build a monster in this relationship that after all, neither one of us can handle. So here's the thing that we have to do. You may not be ready now, but I do want us to decide a time that we can. I don't want 4 months from now. No. It's hurting now. I want as soon as possible for us to get get to this problem. And so many times, Pastor Flowers, the sad part about this is that one is trying to run and the other one's frustrated. Yeah. So when the other one's trying to run and the other one's frustrated, they just say, I don't care, it's not worth it. Yes, it is worth it. If you want what is being destroyed, then it's worth it. So somewhere in this, and I know we have to nail down a point of solution. And that point of solution means we're going to have a summit when we absolutely discuss these things. Now, if you're not ready for us to discuss it, let's get some help. Now, let me say something about this, because a whole lot of people say, well, I've been through counseling, it doesn't help. Well, let me tell you about that lie. The reason why people go through counseling doesn't help is because people don't apply what the counseling is giving them.
Exactly.
It's like going to the doctor. Doctor writes your prescription. You complain to the doctor. This is not helping me. And you ask them, and the doctor asks you to get the prescription filled out. And you said no. So that paperwork ain't gonna help you. Well, they're gonna help you if you implement and take what I prescribe for you. The problem with many people in counseling is they come to counseling because they want the other to be told off. Yeah. That's the reality. Counseling is not about telling the other off. It's about bringing each to a place where we can deal with the thing that's destroying their marital relationship or relationship. I'm sorry, babe, go ahead.
You go.
If we do that, if we apply those things that's being given, any marriage can work out. But when we go home, and we forget or set aside all the principles, or after a few minutes, set aside all the principles that was given in counseling, no, it's not going to work for you. Not the counseling, but no, what was given to you is not going to work for you because we're not taking it.
And sometimes we have to take in consideration that we didn't get the way that we got overnight.
Thank you.
And because it don't happen after 1, 2, 3 sessions, well, it just don't work for me. It just don't work for me. It took you longer than that to get bound up. It took you longer than that to bring in the baggage that you bring in. And even when God was delivering Israel into the promised land, he told them drive out the inhabitants of the land. How did he tell them? Little by little.
Yeah.
You were going to help them to do it little. Some things you have to work on little by little, but at least you're working towards that goal. The problem comes when you stop working. You start working out good and you start doing some things that make the other person happy as well as you happy. Then all of a sudden we get relaxed because they're happy and they're smiling now.
Right.
I can stop working. No, if they're happy, they're smiling, you're happy, you're smiling. Keep right on working until you drive that thing completely out, whether it's through prayer, whether it's through deliverance, whether it's through just making the right decisions and choices.
Look, what was it? Starting, what's the day? Wednesday. Starting on Monday, Pastor Flowers told me, said, we're gonna do spring cleaning.
Yeah.
Okay, so I said, okay. And so what I did, I went somewhere and played back. No, I'm just kidding. When we started doing spring cleaning, we had so much stuff we had to throw away.
Yeah.
So
you
many
don't know
things.
how much you got till you start pulling out.
Absolutely. So many things we were not using anymore. And if we had not pulled out some things, pulled up some things, whatever things that we needed to do to discover things that was no longer needed anymore, that thing would have still been there taking up space.
Yes.
You may have said, what does that mean? Sometimes, y'all, what we can do is, in the marriage counseling, we can move stuff around.
Yeah.
And all we do is adjust it into another space.
Taken it out of the house.
And so when we move it around, then we can walk around. We move it around, and it gives us a path to walk around. And it feels like we would have made the space larger. No, all you did was just adjust some things to give you the little path that you need to get around and make you feel like you have some freedom. That's what happens sometimes when we're trying to deal with marriages, when we're trying to deal and get our marriage to a healthy place. We get counseling and talking to one another can clear a path to get to what we need to get to. But that space will never be clear until you completely remove all the junk that made you feel cluttered in the first time. And sometimes we get relieved, and in that relief, we relax. Like you were saying, Pastor Flowers, when we relax, after a while, we forget about the things that's on the side that's crowding up the path that we're now squeezing ourselves through. And we forget, guess what? We trip over it. Now here we are again. It's a process. It's a process of commitment. In everything, a process of commitment. In our salvation, it's a process of commitment that will continue to allow God to pull away and remove those things that get in the way of us walking in the perfect will of God. In our marriages and stuff, we can move some things, adjust some things, but it takes us removing some things that got us to the place where the marriage or the relationship was not healthy. When we do those things, that means you got to notice that it's there. If you deny that it's there, after a while, it's going to trip you up again. So if we keep working and we expand ourselves and not just move stuff out of the way and give us that narrow path, but we expand ourselves, we'll get to a place, y'all, where we will find ourselves walking in the freedom that we're at, that we want from God and stuff. Hey, Michelle, how you doing? Good to see you.
Gary.
Gary.
Gary, yeah. No.
Okay. Hey, Gary, how you doing, nephew? Good to see you. Yes, if we keep moving, we'll have enough path to get around, but I guarantee you, after a while, we'll forget about those things that's on the side and stuff, and realize this path is not big enough for what we need. We don't feel the freedom that we need to have in our marriage, and we'll trip over those things, and we're back at it again.
We're back at it again because we left it there and we didn't get rid of it.
Absolutely.
And sometimes there are situations where you get rid of it and you put it outside the house, but you don't put it in the dumpster.
Absolutely.
Next thing you know, that thing done found its way back in the house, back into the marriage.
Absolutely.
And you're wondering to yourself, well, I thought we dealt with this. I thought we got over this. But all of a sudden now I look and there it is sitting right in the middle of the living room. Ooh, somebody brought it back in the house.
Absolutely. Look, okay, now.
I have a question. If your past is punching at your spouse, attacking your spouse, issues from your past, whether it's your issues or issues with your exes and all that, if they're punching at your spouse, what responsibility should you take as her covering? Now,
in my past, say it hypothetically.
Or your past or my past.
Right. I just want to narrow down. If my past was
something from your past was stabbing at, punching at, or attacking, or doing whatever.
Right.
Your spouse.
What's my responsibility? My responsibility to deal with whatever it is, especially when it makes you uncomfortable.
Right.
And here's the thing is, it doesn't have to qualify that you see it. Only thing that has to qualify is it makes her uncomfortable. If it makes her uncomfortable, that's enough for me to act. And stuff. So many times what happens is that couples, or one or the other, can I just use hypothetically, the husband may say, well, I don't see it like you see it and stuff. Doesn't mean you don't need to deal with it. If she feels uncomfortable about that, or if something bothers her about some actions in that, you still need to deal with it.
Yeah. Because if she deals with it, then the person from the past, or the issue from the past, that's you saying it.
Yep. And because
I don't hear him saying nothing.
And here's the bad stuff about that, Pastor Flowers. If she says it, but it's coming from your side, if she says it and you say nothing, that one who's caused that problem will think that they still have a chance, or that they have a right to continue because you said nothing. Because you said nothing. It's our job as
solid acquiescence.
Absolutely.
That means you're not all the way against it, and you're not going to speak out against it. So you just might be for it.
No, absolutely. So in a marital relationship, and I don't think, Pastor Franz, I know I may feel like I'm being redundant. I just don't think that marital relationships take as serious about each other as they need to do.
Yeah.
Listen, let me say this too. Being a Christian doesn't mean you take everything to God in prayer when you have the ability as a human being to deal with it yourself. Yes. Matter of fact, you know what the scripture says? If your brother have a fault, if you think they have a problem with you, God didn't say send me to him. He said, you go. Now, if there's an issue that's arriving in my coming in my home from my side to my wife, God isn't telling me to go
send her at it.
Go send her at it, or send him at it. Me go. Listen, I go. Why? Because that thing is happening in this realm, and I see it, and it's coming from something that I made a choice to do. So now it's my job as your covering to make sure that I'm doing what's necessary to embrace, to allow you to come into my space and into my life in peace, and not being harassed by something that is no longer part of my life. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
Makes sense.
That was just a question.
And stuff. So the bottom line is, y'all, we can say all we want, and don't ask your spouse to pray for something that you didn't pray to get into.
Ooh.
Does that make sense, Pastor?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
You didn't pray to start this, so why you want them to pray to stop it? If you started it by your choice, make a choice to stop it. Bottom line, make a choice to stop it. Well, let me get up.
Sometimes you have to draw a line in the sand.
Absolutely.
You have to draw a line in the sand and say, okay, this far and no further.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This far and no further. And stuff. And when you do that, guess what? Your spouse trusts that you have the best interest in mind. We can say all we want. Don't tell her you should because you know I'm your husband. No, you should because you are my husband. You should because you are my wife. Don't tell me you have my best interest in mind. My interest is being disrupted or being disturbed because of a choice that you made. Because of something that you did.
And now the spouse has to deal with it.
Absolutely. And Pastor, can I tell you one more thing? Don't tell me, well, it's not my fault. I can't control their behavior, but you can control how their behavior affects you.
Yes.
You control how it affects your home.
Yes.
You can tell them how far you will tolerate it coming towards your home. Now they can act they can be in Georgetown acting all they want. They can say all they want in Georgetown, but don't come in Blades. Don't come on this road. Don't come on this. Don't come on this yard. Matter of fact, you stand on the road if you want to. Go ahead, but don't come on this yard.
Don't come in the yard.
Don't come in this yard. And when it comes to now, it's my responsibility, and that's what we've got to learn as spouses. Don't take lightly, or don't become a religious Christian that all you want to do is pray about stuff when it's your job to open your mouth about something. Change starts with conversation. Change doesn't start nowhere else but with conversation. Even if we have to pray, it starts with conversation. We pray to God. Change starts with conversation. And if we're going to develop change that makes our relationships and marriages healthy, it starts with a conversation.
And it starts with a conversation, but then once we have that conversation, we both have to agree we're going to fulfill this.
Absolutely.
We're not going to just spend all this time having a conversation, getting a plan in place, and get ready to get some action in place to work on some things. Then all of a sudden, only thing we've had was a good conversation.
Absolutely.
Because nobody's doing anything.
Did you try to
No
smack
change.
it?
I ain't trying to smack it.
Oh, look, you did.
I did.
Let me show you something else too about this moving around things. Sometimes when you move around things, sometimes you'll find that some things fit different places.
Yes, it does.
I had in my study, we're in my study now.
Mm-hmm.
In my study, I got a closet over there. And the past flies also, she did that mudroom. That mudroom looks good. That mudroom looks absolutely good. Amazing.
It looks bigger too.
It looks bigger. We had some stuff in there that didn't belong, and we got it out and stuff. But look, she wanted to buy this shelf that she this rack so she can put everything in there that she wanted in there in its place in the mudroom and stuff. And so she was putting it together and realized that the shelf only came just a little above her knees.
It came taller than my knees.
But that's not really saying it because she ain't that tall. So you know. But anyway.
I'm 5'3".
Huh?
I'm 5'3".
Did I measure you? I thought it was 5'2".
You measured me. You said you barely made it, but you're 5'3".
Well, no, I gave you that 5'3", but I think it was 5'2".
Let's talk about where you were.
I'll cut it. Here we go. Look, but anyway, I looked at. I opened my closet, and in this closet, I had this big rack. I was putting stuff in there, and it was in. I can close the door and everything. And I was sitting there thinking. I said, you know what? This would fit well out there in the mudroom. You mix some pasta, we'll just have it anything. There are some things that may fit perfectly in other areas of your life that you're trying to fit in that doesn't fit in other areas. Does that make sense? So what I said to her, I said, look, how about you take this? Would this work out there? And she said, yes. And so we switched. She took the one I had in here, and I took the brand new one. She took, and I put. She didn't care. Listen, it fit everything out there perfectly. Yes. And in my closet, it fit everything. I got everything. And guess what else? What I was realizing? When you keep something in a place that it doesn't belong, you'll keep things that you don't need. When I pulled that big shelf out, I saw stuff in there that I no longer needed, that no longer fit me anymore. That was no longer any good and stuff. But I kept it there because it fit on the shelf. Just because it fits on a shelf doesn't mean you keep it.
That's right.
If it doesn't bring health to your marriage, to your relationship, to your home and stuff, you need to throw it away. Yes. I don't care what shelf it fits on. If it doesn't fit into your marital relationship design, you need to throw it away. Yes. Yes. Amen. So I would show you my closet, but I'm not. It looks nice in there. Got all the kind of room in there.
More room.
Yes. Yes. And listen, had all the space I needed to get in there what I needed to get in there, what I could use. Okay, hon.
Okay. Where you want me to start here?
Yes. Did you get it? Did you get that? Words are the tools.
Yeah, that's what I'm going at.
Okay.
Words are tools and are not artificial or substitutes for what is needed to be talked about or said. A gift does not solve a problem. A gift does not solve a problem or give more insight to an offense.
Now, let me show you something because we read real quick. Let me say this real quickly. Words cannot be substituted for artificial stuff. You can't go buy a bouquet of flowers when what you said to him or her still stings.
Still stings.
And you haven't discussed it.
That's right.
You can't make the diamond ring bigger when what you did and stuff and came out that you did was talked about and you denied, and now you don't want to talk about it. You just want to give her a bigger diamond.
I like you said the way you said that. You denied it, you lied about it, so you gave her a diamond.
Right. When it was discovered, yes.
Yeah, when it was discovered, you lied about it, and then you gave her a diamond. But you never took responsibility for it.
Absolutely.
That diamond is not responsibility for what you've done. And as long as you don't take responsibility for what you've done, you can repeat it.
Absolutely. And here's another thing, Pastor Fly, starts to happen. You give her a diamond ring when it comes out what you did that you denied that you didn't do, or give him a diamond band, whatever.
When it came out.
And stuff. And now, instead of apologizing and talk about it, you just want her or him to understand. Look at that ring. See, this is how much I care about you. Now you may change your behavior, but here's a fight now that you have to do. Because you used an object, something superficial, to say to the apology that your word should have said and then discussed what you said. Now, every time you try to do something good for her or him, guess what the next question is? What did you do?
Yeah.
And you keep trying to tell them, I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Well, see, they understand that your way of apology and taking responsibility for what you've done, or semi-taking responsibility for what you've done, is for them to buy something. If you want to get to a place to win trust and get back to a healthy place, don't buy stuff. Talk about stuff.
Yeah.
Discuss stuff. Take responsibility. Answer the question they need to answer. Be patient with what they need in order for it to get over. I just don't want to replay it again. Well, you know what? If we stop some of the things that we're doing, we'll never have to replay it again. Bottom line. So do what you need to do to get him or her, your husband or your wife, whoever the one's on this side of the fence, get them to a healthy place.
Yes.
Singles, you know what? We can run as fast as we can past the past of our lives because we don't want to remember some of the things that we did wrong. But the thing about that is that everything that was invested in our life has a subconscious area in our life that it holds on to. And sometimes when you don't want to feel it, you feel it. When you don't want to think about it, you think about it. And you try to run away from it, but it doesn't run away from. And then now you want to get married, you're hoping that that person will distract you from what you're trying to run away from. And the only thing they do is they run you right back to it. Why? Yeah. Because they remind you of a space that doesn't belong to them, that you're trying to hide from them because of something that you want to forget. Does that make sense? If we deal with this stuff, deal with the things that has happened, that you feel about yourself, that people made you feel about you, deal with those things, put them in a proper perspective. If they don't fit, get rid of them. But whatever help you need to get rid of them, get the help that you need to get rid of them. And stop making excuses that it's somebody else's fault why they hang around. No, they hang around because you keep building a house for them. And as long as you build a house for them, it's like
they're gonna come.
They're gonna come.
Like the Field of Dreams.
Yes, Field of Dreams.
If you build it, they'll come.
Like that old shelf, that big shelf. It was a big shelf, big blue shelf, big shelf. And so again, I had stuff in there that I wasn't using no more, but it fit on the shelf. When I got rid of that shelf, I realized the stuff that I could not, and I don't mean to be redundant, I realized the stuff that I could not use. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. We ain't got much more time here, but I want to ask you a question. How many things in your marital relationship that you would like to get rid of, but the other one isn't willing to talk about it to get rid of it? How many things, singles, in your life that you really want to get rid of? It plays in certain areas of your mind and your heart and your life, but you don't know how to talk about them to get rid of them. Or your pride won't let you bring it out to be to talk about it. Well, I talked about it before. No, you narrated it. You had to get it off your conscience because you either thought somebody else knew about it or it made you feel good just to talk about it, even if you didn't do anything else with it after you talked about it. How many times do we find ourselves, whether singles in that condition we just talked about, or marriages in those situations?
You're even talking about unresolved issues.
Absolutely, huh?
There are some unresolved issues in some marital people's lives that they need to get rid of.
Absolutely. And
they need to talk about it and take whatever steps it needs to take and kill it.
Absolutely.
Because as long as it's alive, from time to time in your life, it's going to come back. It's going to bring back all the memories, and you're going to feel the hurt or the pain that you felt when it first happened. So it's time to get rid of it.
You know, sometimes, Pastor Flowers, in some cases, when marital couples go get the healing that they need,
and it happens.
Absolutely,
you can really get healed.
Yes, when you get the healing you need, you'll find out that maybe some of the tears that you thought was impressed by you feeling God was a weight of the unresolved issues in your life. And now those tears turn from a burden that you can't identify to a feeling that you can pinpoint that comes from God.
Right.
Does that make sense? So in everything we do, we need to be complete and healthy and healed. So we can identify, where is this coming from?
Yes.
Where is this feeling coming from?
And when you get healed like that, you both can fight together.
Absolutely.
Your team and you both can fight together, and nothing can stand against you.
Absolutely. Listen, we got a couple more that got ready to come in, but we're going to finish the part 2 on next week. I hope we've said something to make us think, but I really would encourage us, listen, get in touch with somebody and let somebody know we're going to finish this on next week.
Yes.
But also I want to ask you to do us a favor. Some of you may have questions, or you may know somebody may have some questions. You don't have to answer them up here. You can put them in our inbox. And we'll go ahead and
we won't call your name.
Won't call your name.
Because somebody else may be dealing with the same things you're dealing with. And when you put your question in there, it can help to answer their question.
Absolutely. But just in inboxes, we'll read it, Pastor and I, and we'll discuss it. We will not call your name.
No.
As Pastor, because somebody else may be dealing with the same thing you're dealing with. But we also ask that, I may not forgive, but just in case, share this.
Yes.
Share this. We get ready to come up with a relationship boot camp. We had a date, but so many things started happening. Good things, not bad things. Good things started happening. But we're going to have a relationship boot camp because as we've been going around and traveling, we've been hearing about the attacks on marriages. And can I tell you what they're hitting hard is at too? They're not just hitting hard at the pews. They're hitting hard in the pulpit.
In the pulpit, yes.
The enemy is not, listen, he is not a respecter of person.
Oh, no.
He'll attack anywhere he sees he has an opening. Okay? So let's get these two pastors. We'll get ready to come in.
And for the enemy to attack the pulpit ministries, pulpit marriages, that's a big come down for them.
Yes.
I mean, they don't shot something down big.
Absolutely.
Because when you shoot down that head,
the body follows.
The body follows.
Yes. Okay, on these next two, then we're going to get ready to come in.
B, there are many couples who exercise the silent, unspoken, I'm sorry, through purchasing of gifts. And because of this, and because this does not outline a taking of responsibility to change, there is nothing that holds one or both obligated to do so.
Absolutely. Because the only thing you presented, there was no words exchanged, there was no promises, there was no plan. All you did was give a gift.
Yep. In a sense, you're saying, I'm not taking responsibility for nothing, but here's a gift.
Absolutely. And singles and married couples. Well, singles, don't be so hungry for attention that whatever the attention is good enough for you. Instead of dealing with the things that you need to be healthy in your relationships, to be healthy with yourself, and to be healthy how you live and carry out the relationship. Okay, number 3, last one.
And now you have a shelf or a closet full of sorry gifts that are meant to take the emotional and mental attention off of what has been done until something bigger happens. And the one offended realized that these gifts were only given to purchase numbness, but never to bridge a discussion that will bring forth a change or understanding that could be trusted.
Yes. And that's sad. You can look up at the shelves of the house full of gifts.
Well, that happened when she or he did this, and I got that when she or he did that, and they bought me this when they did this, and it's just full of it, but it's not a bridge.
The sad part about that is, if those gifts were your silent way of apologizing, and all those gifts said to the person is, they did this, they did that and that, and they did that and that.
Yeah.
Guess what?
Remind you of the action.
That's it. That gift keeps alive what you didn't take responsibility for to get rid of. And now you wonder why they can't get over it. Because you didn't deal with it to make it get over. You just bought them a gift to try to make them forget what they needed to get healed over. And now all they do is look at those gifts and remember that's when you messed up then. That's when you messed up then. That's when you messed up then. That's why words, discussions, having summits, and being able to talk about what you need to deal with, so you can look at whatever's around your house and say, man, boy, we'll really walk in a healthy place with each other, because that gift doesn't remind me of what they did. They remind me of how they feel and where we're going to. Listen, we're going to get ready to go. I usually say that Pastor Paul's going to cook me some chicken, but she's not. She's not cooking me no chicken. I only know what we did pick up something to eat, didn't we?
Yes, we did. There wasn't no chicken.
Okay. What was it? Okay, I remember now. Okay, listen, God bless you. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully, I pray that we said something that is encouraging to you and that you can use and that you can pass on and share with other people. We don't charge anything for you to take this video and share it.
Yes,
just share it.
Please.
Share it as many times as you want to.
Yes.
And stuff. We encourage you to please do that. But we do ask you, if you will, please. We have 2 ways that you can drop a seed to us. First one is our Cash App at $FEDC 2020. And our second one is
PayPal at familyenrichment95@gmail.com.
Yes, you see them scrolling down the screen.
Yes.
So if you will, please sow a seed. Again, I hope we said something that encouraged you, that made you think, gave you something to work on and work towards in your relationship. And we did. We thank God. That's what we're doing. I remember the thing that Apostle Hopkins said about deliverance. He just wants to preach a balanced gospel on deliverance. All we want to do is preach a gospel in relationship teaching, preach a balanced lessons from the gospel on marriages and relationships, period. Yep. That's all. Yep. Just be balanced. Not leaning one to another on one side or another, just balance. So everybody can come out healthy. Well, listen, Pastor Flowers, we're going to get ready to go.
Okay.
Again, please share this, and we're going to finish the rest of this on next week. So God bless you. Thank you again for joining us.